Is it happening yet?
We should be live. So.
All right. Are we live? Perfect.
We're live.
Yes. Here we are. Welcome, engineers, to Fridays on the Edge.
Another Friday.
Another Friday. We love Fridays.
Yes. Because on Fridays...
we get to be live with our engineers.
At the end of the week, are you on edge? Because at the end of the week, I'm on edge.
Yes.
We're
a little on edge.
We should just call it... We're like, your chair is perfect. Hold on, don't move. Hold on, don't move. Don't move. Fridays. Wait, move your head away from...
This way.
Yeah. Fridays on edge. Anyways, so let's get into it.
Yeah. Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining us in our live Facebook group.
That's right.
If you have anything that you're working on this weekend, let us know in the comments.
Yeah. So, I know that we just kind of started. Now, I got some questions about timing of the Free Coaching Friday upgrade, which is now Fridays on the Edge. And in terms of the timing, we are going to at least try to do these as close to 5 as we can every Friday. And then really the timing just comes down to, we have to prioritize our clients and all that stuff and our businesses, like all that stuff first.
We're refining the process, let's put it that way. Like, I'm sure at some point we'll be able to narrow it down probably a little bit more, but at this point we just are shooting for a reasonable time after 5 p.m. Mountain
Yeah,
time.
And eventually, maybe we find that there's a specific time that does work every week. So it's not to say that we won't ever have a specific time to start, because I got that question in the Discords. So it's a good question. And so I think that was the main question that I got from someone who
and I guess apologies a little bit to the people who want us to have a set specific time. We just want to have fun with this and make it casual.
That's
and,
exactly
chill
it.
And something that we enjoy and not make it something that's it's the end of the week and you have to
we don't want this to be our end of the week dread. We want this to be our end of the week fun.
So I'm sure I'm sure we'll be able to make a time more specific as we kind of
gotta get our
work through it, but
because we pretty much just burn
at this point we're just trying to have a good time and enjoy the end of the week
to kick
together
back and pull those sleeves up and just be like. And then that's what Friday is all about, right? So that's what we're about. I just want to set the vibe here right now. It's just we're really just. It's Friday.
Yeah, it's fun.
We're here.
We're here to have a good
it's
time.
You don't have to worry about stumbling into free Coaching Friday, or I guess Fridays on the Edge. I'm so used to calling it Free Coaching Friday because I did it for so long. But you don't have to worry about barreling into it or whether you're late or not, because that's that's what Fridays are for.
The replay when you have a chance.
And
but we also love to.
Before we get too far with this, I have to say the dojo's on time. We have to do the dojo on time. You want us to be on time? Come to the dojo.
On time.
The thing is, when we're paid for this stuff, chop. We've got so much going on. Right now, we are building a Minecraft server stat. We got to have emulation going. We just got some edge that. Chop. And so, Free Coaching Friday is the not chop. That's the important thing to remember. Fridays on the edge. So, we have all these other things that have to be on time and all these hot deadlines.
But anyway, enough about all of that and
let's talk about
schedules.
You, the viewers, who we just started doing this, so we don't have that many yet. But I know we'll get back to where we were.
Tell us more about what you're going to be working on this weekend with the Minecraft server.
I'm really excited about that. So in regards to the Minecraft server, we are starting with and question we have. Can you recap from what happened with the dojo and what's coming up? So the Minecraft server is related to that. So I'll get back to the Minecraft server. So this is probably a better place to start. So Actually, maybe that's a good maybe one thing that we can do on Fridays on the Edge is talk about like what's going on in the dojo, because dojo, like, that's pretty much my life is like Blue Mirror and dojo. Dojo, what are we doing in the dojo? We are starting a sprint in the dojo, a DevSecOps sprint, because it is a DevSecOps dojo. And so what is it that pretty much I do 24/7 is pretty much DevSecOps. I come up with DevSecOps processes for businesses, and then I come up with DevSecOps processes that I teach people who work with businesses or run them. So that's my life. And the dojo this week, we started a sprint where we are starting to create new cloud infrastructure. And basically, the Olympiad is something we've been working on for a long time now, and we are at the point where it's being packaged into an application. What is the Olympiad? The Olympiad is basically a toolbox. And what is it a toolbox for? It's a toolbox not for building cars, but for building cloud. So if you're confused about what is the Olympiad for, it's a toolbox for building cloud. What kind of cloud do you ask? If the word cloud is involved with what you're trying to build, then yes, there you go. Technically, it's a hybrid cloud toolbox, and it's an agnostic cloud toolbox. So that means that it does indeed work with building private cloud, public cloud, Azure cloud, AWS cloud, Google cloud, cloud. Does it have the word cloud? Then that's the tool for you. And
this is the tool for you.
And that's what we've been building for a long time, because realistically I work with like every cloud, and because I work with every kind of cloud possible, in anywhere from like small tiny development environments to large scale environments that scale into millions of really like petabytes of data. Just imagine that's more than terabytes, and then we just go on from there. There's like exabytes. So that's what I do. So really there are ways to know how to manage these structures. So anyways, in the dojo we started a sprint to kind of build like what's called edge cloud technology. And I did share a picture in the group, so if you're in the Facebook group, you can check out this image that you can't see in this particular stream. But what you're looking at in that image in the Facebook group is there's this little black box with a light on it, and that's a Jetson AGX Xavier. And what it's being used for is it's an edge broker, so that we can build a cloud that can live in multiple places at once. And this is an AI-based device, so we can accommodate everything we're doing with artificial intelligence and machine learning and deep learning and all of those exciting things for someone who's really into that. But really, what are we going to do with all these horses? We're going to use Minecraft to show the fact that you can build a server that exists like everywhere and it works well. So really, like, business applications are less demanding than like video games and video game based applications. Generally speaking, like most of them, depending on what you're trying to do, of course. Technically a video game is an application that's sold, so I mean we could call that a business application too. But really, if you're trying to host like websites or host certain things, if you can host a Minecraft server on the edge, on an edge-based cloud computer, which means, so what's edge, right? So edge computing means that we have, say, a server in one location, right? And then let's say that you want to scale that server, but you want to then scale it to someone else's location who's like another admin of that server. Like, hey, we're a remote company, you're a remote admin. Hey, would you like to work with us? And that admin's like, yeah, I want to be an admin for all of you. So you send them a part of your cloud, and that now lives in two locations, but it's still one cloud and it's one server. That's edge computing, where it doesn't matter where things are. So far as the server is concerned, it's just one server and one location that's off in virtual land somewhere, that you can just kind of think of it that way. And so we were just thinking, like, what's the best way to test this technology? Is can we run, and we can't, we already know we can, but it's just like we're just going to show all of you like how this works, because this is not a technology that we invented. There's a reason why we're using Jetson AGX Xavier systems. They're actually built for this sort of thing, and basically just making a bunch of locations exist as one. Boom, we're gonna run Minecraft from it. And so that you can, and it's resilient. So like, let's say that one location loses their internet connection. Doesn't matter. The internet will stay up. Or maybe 2 locations lose their internet connection. Not a big deal. Or like, let's say that we end up with like 6 locations with people hosting a part of the cloud or a part of Minecraft, right? At some point, we'll test like what does it look like to nuke some of these and like take them down entirely.
One of those locations,
and that's called chaos engineering. And we'll do some chaos engineering here too. But basically, that there's something called high availability. So for those who are into that, basically like Phoenix servers, indestructible clouds. That's what we talk about here. Is like indestructible distributed clouds. It's really confusing stuff.
So when you showed me this picture earlier, you were very excited because you were like, "There's." How many? Like 7?
Yeah, like 7.
There? Can you?
Yeah, because there's.
Point out.
So if you're looking at the picture, then on the far left there's one Raspberry Pi system, and then you have a second one that's like this little black box that's hanging out here, and then there's a Mac Mini with another Raspberry Pi sitting on top of it with a touchscreen monitor that's used for SOC. And then there's another Raspberry Pi with an RGB fan spinning right underneath the monitor. Then there's the Jetson AGX Xavier, which is technically a supercomputing unit. I won't get into that. That's complicated. But then also the extended part of the desk is the biggest server because it's so tall that pretty much almost from the floor it just goes all the way up to my desk. And that's a lot of computers. And
so many
you're
computers.
Looking at all of them in one location. It is. I wonder if you can see. Well, you can see. I could
bring it up onto the
SD
screen.
Tower.
Should we bring it up? Do you want to?
Is it? Oh, that's right. We can pull images.
Totally pull it up.
That's right, because we're using OBS Studio.
Yeah, we got.
Well, we have this fancy technology these days.
And then we just gotta. Oh, there it is. Oh, it's behind us. Hold on. I'll bring it in front of us.
Here, you got this. You just click and drag.
I know, that's what I'm doing. I don't feel like it's moving.
Not working? Here.
Oh yeah, see what you can do. Help me out here. It's behind us. It's there.
Let's just move it. In general, here, just move your head. Okay. I'll move my.
Perfect.
Head. It works. It doesn't matter.
Lean out of the way. Okay, wait. There is a better way to do this, actually.
There's a way.
There's arrows in the bottom.
Oh, there's arrows?
Yeah, there you go. All right. Okay. Now
there
you can just. Here, let me be the producer here. Well, so you tell us what's on the screen.
Amazing. So, I think it's working. So, question, for those who might not know, can you explain what a pseudocore is and why you might want pseudocores, since the AGX has a ton of pseudocores? Well, that's a very good question. So, once again, the AGX is this little device that, like in that picture, there's that black box on the right, not all the way to the headphones, but black box with a little white light. That box right there, that's a Jetson AGX Xavier system. And for those who are kind of wondering, like, what are pseudocores? So think about like a graphics card. Maybe this is the best place to start. This is where people are usually familiar with pseudocores. And so, like, while we're going to be using it for like computing resources and for like artificial intelligence and things like that, the pseudocores that you might be familiar with are like on a gaming graphics card. Maybe like there's all those NVIDIA gaming graphics cards. I have like a 2070 Super or something like that, and then a 1050 Ti plugged into this at the same time, and I use both of them. I use one dedicated to the streams, and then I use a separate graphics card dedicated to, like, if I want to play a game or something like that, so that they have like different but that's all pseudocores. So that means that, you know, you can use pseudocores for a number of things. So I'm using pseudocores for graphics acceleration from a 1050 Ti on the same box that's running a 2070 Super. And so realistically, if anyone watched like Free Coaching Friday last year, I would sometimes stream a game while streaming. And one of the things that was exciting to me about that was the fact that I was doing graphics acceleration from two separate graphics cards. So like one graphics card and its pseudocores was managing the game and its graphics, and then one was dedicated to the stream, all at the same time, all on the same machine. And so a Jetson AGX Xavier system, or even a Jetson Nano, well, they have pseudocores. And now those are the use cases while like people are more familiar with a PlayStation 4 and playing a video game than they are with like AI. But really, even if you think about games, there's AI in games too, because if you're sitting there fighting like bots in a game, that's AI. There's behavioral analysis going on, and you know, physics and stuff like that, and predictive models. And so we're using the predictive capabilities that you can basically manage and build for like machine learning and all that good stuff with AI with a Jetson AGX Xavier. And then of course you can one of the cool things about edge computing, because it's basically an edge, it's a supercomputer, it's basically a server specifically built for edge and AI at the same time. So it's built for AI on the edge. Now, these things aren't particularly affordable, but you can learn the same thing on a $60 like Jetson Nano. There's like two different kinds. There's like a $60 Jetson Nano and like a $100 Jetson Nano. But
a few different models, kind of like the Raspberry Pi.
Yeah, and so you can learn like some of the same things that you, because they have pseudocores too. So if you were like, oh, pseudocores, well, I can't afford one of these crazy edge brokers. You know, this Jetson Xavier, you can't even boot it. Well, I mean, if you wanted to hack it, you could get it to boot off of just, you know, drives that you plug in a certain way or whatever. But if you're doing it the way that it's designed, it's not designed like a Raspberry Pi or a Jetson Nano where you take an SD card and just like plug the SD card into the thing and boot it. You can't do that. You actually have to like have a Linux server available, and then you have to like build what's called an SDK package, which is a software development kit, just to image one of these things the standard way. I'll put it that way, the standard way. And then once you set up like one of these SDK kits, you can actually install like different operating systems that you want to deploy on these. And then the cool thing about these Jetson Xaviers, Jetson AGX Xaviers, and this software doesn't work only on these, it's just that these you can't do the SD card boot. Every other Jetson that's not these, you can boot with the SD card. You can get the lower powered Jetson AGX, and they'll boot with an SD card.
But what's the cool thing about them?
The cool thing about them is this SDK kit lets you like remotely configure, boot, and deploy software straight to these things, just, you know, without having to configure like Terraform for like initial boot. And then you can have, say, like a Terraform Docker container. You could basically have an image that has Docker for one of these AGX systems that's set up, that has like Terraform in it, that turns on and then basically sets up entire cloud structures in every employee's home that you have who touches stuff. So if you had like 100 developers or 100, I don't know why you'd have 100 admins, but if you had 100 cloud developers and all of them were supposed to have like parts of the cloud, and you're like paying for their connections and distributing your bandwidth that way with this development team, you know, you could effectively like use this package to just like centralize, like, oh, another person is going to start working in the cloud. Boom, you can just like have the whole things set up for them automatically, like in another location. Like it's pretty neat. It's pretty neat stuff. It's like
good
distributing on-prem.
Remote, yeah.
Yeah. Let's see. Olympiad is cloud asset. Oh yeah, this is a good question. So more about so we spent a lot of time last year building the Olympiad, and that's like a lot of the technology that we work on and the stuff that we work with is based on the types of technologies that the Olympiad is built for building, which are just like cloud technologies. And so if the Olympiad is a cloud building toolbox, let's talk about that a little bit, because when we talk about a cloud building toolbox, it's for building what are called cloud assets. And that gets a little confusing, because building cloud is one thing. You could go and build a cluster of Raspberry Pis, and well, there you go. That could be a cloud. Or you could go and get a free AWS account and get the free trial and set up a cloud there, and boom, have or you could build something like that, and you could call all of that cloud. But what exactly is like the Olympiad for building? It's for building cloud assets, which gets confusing, because the difference between cloud and cloud assets is cloud assets are like anything cloud. So a cloud asset would be like from your infrastructure to your application, and the Olympiad is designed for building infrastructure for applications and then deploying applications across your infrastructure. So it's a toolbox for those things. So it's for building and deploying your cloud assets. That's what the Olympiad was for. And once again, we built that last year, and it's like it's pretty much what we use for everything now.
Yeah.
And it was based on stuff that like everywhere I go, I'd build the same kind of like delivery structures, because it's like everyone needs the same stuff. They're like, oh, we need to like build things faster and deliver them over a cloud. Oh, build things faster and deliver over a cloud. I'm like, oh. And then and then I'd have to go and build them a custom tool set, then build someone else a custom tool set. And while I still do that for companies, we have a generic cloud toolbox for a change that anyone can use, instead of having to go and build cloud toolboxes from ground zero at every single company that you go. That like it is something that takes years to do. And so instead of going to 100 companies last year, I spent time building something that 100 companies would inevitably need, that, if I were to go get hired at any of those roles, they're going to be like, I need this exact same structure that you build for everyone else. And that's what the Olympiad is. It's a toolbox.
Yeah.
That it's
super versatile.
Yes. And so, if you're trying to basically like do business, like what are assets? Assets are things that are basically worth revolving capital if you are trying to understand how capital works. And if you're trying to get a job, understanding how capital works is valuable, because if you're like building things from a technology standpoint is one thing, because you can build tech all day long. Coding is coding. Like you could go home and build a pie hole. Okay, now turning a pie hole into an asset means having to understand more than just like building a pie hole. Like, okay, so maybe you don't want to build a pie hole. Maybe you want to build a business service that filters websites for businesses and provides basic malware filtering for businesses, and also blocks ads for businesses at the same time. Okay, now we're talking. Now that becomes like building an asset. While building Pi-hole, Pi-hole's Pi-hole. That's Pi-hole's asset. They built this asset. And then if you go and take this open source tool and make something that's like, maybe that's like a tiny 1% of the greater thing that you've created, or whatever you do, well, then this bigger thing that you've created, now that's an asset. And, the difference between that is like, how can you make your skills more valuable? You have to understand like what's the value of a skill first. And that's kind of like what we're trying to get into more, is like I ran into a problem with other other formats of what we tried to teach in the past. And I think one thing that we need to talk about is like understanding like the value of your skills. I'm learning that like people don't understand like what's the tangible monetary value of your skills, and in terms of like building an asset from skills. and then you leveraging those skills to then turn that asset to revolve capital or trade for other resources or build a lifestyle out of it, or just get a job if that's what you want. And that's the value of an asset, but you have to know how to do something with the asset. You have to know how to revolve the asset or how to get some kind of value out of it. What are your thoughts?
No, I think you're right. I think it's yeah, I think you're right. It's a lot about asset management and Oh, we have another question.
I have a question for you.
For me.
Yeah.
What's it like to be a CEO? Well, it's interesting. I don't know. It's like I think it's a role that I was a little like reluctant to get into, but because I feel like I do have a good kind of sense of leadership, but I don't know. It's challenging to know what's the best way to like support the team. I think that's always what I'm trying to do the most as a CEO, is just trying to like figure out how can I make sure everybody has all the tools that they need to succeed, and how can we all work together to make sure we're all working in the same direction. I think that's a lot of it too. Especially with a remote team, we're all kind of in different locations. So, which I love that we all get to like be where we are and work together from a distance. But it's a bit challenging to just figure out, to make sure that we're all like communicating on the same level and and we're all, pointed in the same direction. But I think we have such a tight-knit group too that it makes a huge difference that we can all just kind of be honest with each other and let us, let everybody know what we need individually. And I think that's a big part of it too, is just making people feel comfortable to share what they need and keep those like channels open.
Totally.
So
what do you enjoy most about it?
I don't know. I kind of like being in charge a little bit. Like I like setting the schedule to a certain extent, and I don't know. I enjoy our like weekly meetings where we all like get together and like touch base.
It's good times.
But I also enjoy like the one-on-ones that I have with people as well, and like getting to have a better idea of like where everybody's at and see what's going on and connecting with everyone. And
it's quite a lot. I know that it's like, does it ever feel like overwhelming to do CEO?
Well, it's funny because I felt like I was feeling like super overwhelmed by things for a little bit, and then I was like, oh, I'm almost like being too intense about all of it. I think Nathan and I are so used to working at like this like crazy like fever pitch, because that was kind of what 2020 was for us.
Yeah.
But now we have like, like, I don't know, things have evolved. And
we don't have to move at like 5 million
really
miles per
yeah,
hour
we have
to
like
survive.
a much better like tempo now, but it's also just
yeah.
Reminding myself that we have a better tempo and we don't have to like be so like frantic about everything that's going on. And just kind of nurture the things that are working, like the dojo. I love that we're kind of going for like a slow grow approach with that, and like keeping it small and intimate and like really focused on the people that are in it. Which I'll always be plugging. We are also accepting like applications right now to grow our small team into for the dojo, the small dojo community, into a slightly bigger community.
I do like that we've gotten slow with things.
If anyone's interested in that, definitely go to our website. We'll drop some information into the chat about that in a couple minutes here. But yeah, I don't know. It's we have a really unique sort of structure, and I like that because we get to all like really define what we do in a really unique sense, and so I think that's almost the biggest challenge for me as a CEO, is like trying to make sure that what I'm doing works for our business and for our team and like what we're doing. Yeah. That answers the question.
It's like, I mean,
it's fun. I love it.
It's definitely different. It's one of those things that It's definitely, we had to move so fast all the time in the past.
Yeah.
And it, everything catches up. and now it's nice kind of just not like moving at like breakneck speeds 24/7.
Yeah.
To like solve the universe. But we did it.
I mean, we're building some really amazing things, and it's
now
like that takes a little time, and it's like that's okay. Like we want things to move at an appropriate speed, and it doesn't have to be like, oh my god, everything's gonna like fall apart if we, if
we stop all of a sudden, if we don't build every day.
Yeah.
I will say, if anyone's trying to start a business, it's really funny because, like, the conventional advice is, like, as true as can be.
Yeah.
Like, just to be as blunt as can be.
Well, I think the other thing, though, about it, too, is, like, one thing that we stressed a lot with our previous business with Nato Point was that, like, cybersecurity is, like, a mental health business, or is, like, a mental health industry, and I think that, like, really being successful in business is like a mental health thing as well, because you have to really kind of like keep track of how how you're feeling and how you're doing, and like making sure that everyone's on not freaking out too much, which also applies to myself. We
have more questions. So so what assets are we working? So that's a good question. Right now, we are actively working on building just a on-demand cloud infrastructure. I guess I'll put it that way. Mostly for educational purposes, for educational use at this time. So, like, for folks who are in the dojo, especially, we want to be able to give people access to VPS, because, like, the reason why we can afford the stuff is because, like, all the work that everyone's put in with us with, like, dojo and all that good stuff. And then a lot of that, like, that's what really brought a lot of the firepower that let us just, like, hunker down and just start building. So we're taking all of what's been given to us to build, just infrastructure for on-demand cloud for our people first. We will scale that, and right now, people are pushing to see if they can get us to give them on-demand things and options, but we're going to hold off on some of that, and right now we're just going to focus on our dojo and the people in the dojo until we feel good about everything. But those are the assets that we're building right now.
Yeah, it's in development, but we're trying to like I was just saying, and kind of make sure everything's like well tested and ready to go.
Well, open source wise, so this is a Nato as code thing. So the Olympiad is technically my thing. It's not part of the dojo. So that I'm always working on is building the Olympiad more. We are
constantly evolving.
I guess for that matter, am packaging on that AGX I'm using that to do the packaging of the Olympiad, and we've already tested it to see if it'll work on more than just, like, say, the Raspberry Pi or ARM platforms, because the AGX is an ARM platform, and so we have started getting an emulation, and we already have figured out the most straightforward way to emulate what we have, so we are making it universally available so that you don't have to use ARM devices to work with the Olympiad. So that's another thing that I'm working on, is just like packaging that up. I have to do that like in conjunction with other work that I have to do but we have very, like, our primary, like, business partners are very supportive, which is really great.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah.
We have another question here, which is we have built businesses and been fully online, and what do we know? What do you need to know the most to be able to do something like that? To have an online business. I think. You have to be ready to, like, slow grow your online presence, because that's kind of something that we've always had in our corner with Nato. Like, you started a YouTube channel a very long time ago, and that's
it's been
grown your LinkedIn audience, and like I like that's helped us a lot, is like that kind of professional, like, credibility that we've built up over the years. And what else do you think?
Well, I mean, really, I think it comes down to, there are a lot of the tropes that people talk about.
Professional, I feel like those things too, like having a nice looking website and that sort of thing. I don't know.
Yeah, but like a lot of the tropes that like people talk about are actually pretty true. Of like, if you really want to spend some time to try to like build something that's going to last for a while, it's usually the times that you want to give up, that if you just kind of push through those moments, that things end up working out.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that's probably the biggest one, is like,
having that persistence,
like a willingness to kind of push through things that are a little tougher than, especially.
Yeah, I mean, it can be difficult for sure, and there are those moments that you're like, why am I doing this? But you usually, if you can like take a minute and think about it, you can remember all of the reasons that it's like enjoyable and rewarding, and if you can hold on to those things,
for better or for worse,
push
like
through it and keep going and
taking risks. Like I mean,
take those risks.
Most risks aren't going to end as poorly as I think most people worry that they might, and I think there's something about like, there's a difference between just, taking wild risks and calculated risks.
Yeah, and actually this, I think, brings me to another thing that I was going to say about this, which is, like, I think having planning and, like, being able to, like, analyze the situation.
Planning is huge.
And the data that's coming in, like, is another thing that's been, like, largely on our side as well.
One thing that I will say is if you want to start like a venture or build some structure that's going to last and grow and keep going, expect that it will still be, that you're still going to be running it in 3 years, as like the expectation. And if you start from there, then, see where it's at in 3 years and then reassess. Now that, it's easier said than done. And I people say there's a lot of reasons why and excuses, but like you have to kind of take some sacrifices, which is for better or for worse, aren't particularly exciting. I mean, there's that saying, is like, if you haven't experienced some form of downturn in business, you just haven't done business long enough. and like, money comes and goes, so it's like you might lose millions, you might make millions, you might lose thousands, you might make thousands. It depends on who you're working with, what market you're in. Are you doing venture capital? If you're in venture capital, then it's really going to go up and down.
Yeah, your margins will be a lot.
Your way of operating is going to be very different if you're going to go for venture capital, versus if you want to bootstrap, you're going to have sort of like a slow and steady wins the race.
Yeah, and I guess, what do you think, Nathan, is the biggest advice you'd give to people who are like bootstrapping? Because I don't feel like it takes necessarily a lot.
Patience.
Yeah, patience.
Patience and tenacity.
Patience, yeah, and I do think that having that like social audience does help if you're trying to like bootstrap and create a business. Especially an online business, unfortunately, like, you gotta have that social audience. I'm a kind of person that I don't always love to be on social media, but it's like you gotta do it for your professional brand and for yourself and for your business, and it can be fun and enjoyable, which is why we do things like this too, because it's like this is like our nice, like, let's hang out on Fridays and like have a good time. Because
no matter what you do, it's gonna feel like work. You could be doing something extravagant.
You can make it fun and
work.
You can make it enjoyable. Yeah. It doesn't have to always like feel like work. Especially if you can create an online business around something that you really enjoy doing, Like, I have even, we have our Etsy shop obviously for Cloud Underground and for our kits and cloudlets that we build, and supercomputers that we offer there. But I also, I have my own like personal Etsy shop that there's nothing in it right now, but like in the past I've had things that I sew and like sell. Like when coronavirus first hit, I was making masks and selling face masks, and it's just like, little things like that are just like fun and creative and like give you a little like, I'm like helping somebody who doesn't necessarily have the skill get something that they need. And I think that helps too, like doing something that's rewarding and fun as your online business is also, it makes you difference.
And to get back to like the whole edge thing of like what we do and stuff is like the thing about assets is like, it's one thing to have to like build like physical assets, but if you build software, like one of the reasons why we find value in just like selling full-on development labs is because like if you're getting a development lab, you can keep whatever assets you're building on there, you can just keep building. Like, I mean, we run our everything off of our little systems. I mean, like the chaos on my desk, like that's how we do our development and our hosting and our development, and then and it scales, you know, because containers are containers, and like containers are maybe like one of the most convenient business assets to ever come into an existence. And if you understand business enough to understand how to, you know, basically build an application or build an application that people would want, containers just help you get there faster. Depending on not just containers, there's a lot of things. There's like there's like codeless development these days. There are codeless development platforms to where you don't even have to know a lick of code.
Yeah.
And then if you learn containers on top of that, then you can go and build some codeless applications, containerize them, and then ship them. Done. Hey, business. But you have to understand like a lot more than just like the technical kung fu. I would say that knowing how to just make something work, that's important, but it's a means to an end.
Sure.
No more than like if you know how to build a rain gutter, maybe you can make a better rain gutter. Maybe not. But once you know how to make a rain gutter, like it
better rain.
better rain.
Like
you've got the skill already
with like those
for like
things
rain
that,
gutter
like,
building.
mesh over, and they're like, you don't have to use your ladder.
Yeah, that's right. You don't have to use your ladder
you
on the rain
gutter. You don't have to climb
gutter.
up there and clean that because we got a better invention.
Got a better invention. But like, you know, as long as you can clean the rain gutter, like the business problem is like someone needs a rain gutter to be clean in the first place. And then as long as the result is a clean rain gutter, there are different ways to do that. But with cloud, it's really scalable. Like actually, like the rain gutter example is terrible because that's an example of something that's not scalable. You can't multiply yourself in code and then deliver yourself across control planes. But with cloud, you can. Amazing. So
amazing.
It's good stuff. So that's I guess that's what we're building right now. I guess we build more assets than that. So like I work with so basically like I help other companies. So like the company I primarily work with is Blue Mira, and so I help them build crazy cool things. Those are their assets. So they pay me and I build assets for them. So that there you go. So it just comes down to like business, you know, and so it just kind of comes down to understanding like what do you do for people?
But yeah, I
build
mean
assets.
Yeah, we also have the Trident that we've been working on developing, which I mean that's an asset.
Yeah, the Trident is an asset
under development.
Asset. Yeah, so we do have a new system coming out. I don't know if we've posted pictures of the Trident.
Oh, we've talked about it.
Have we
it was on our last
Trident?
podcast. Hold on,
oh, then we've talked. Yeah, go ahead and grab it. I think it's plugged in. I know it's plugged in.
Never mind. It's in use
it's
right
it's
now.
running. I mean, I could shut it down.
No, don't worry about it.
Well, it's headless right now, so.
If you go look at our last podcast episode, it's in there.
I wonder if I have. I wonder if I could just like post a picture in the chat from my phone.
Yes.
I'll just do that.
Option number 2.
Because we can.
We'll talk a little bit about the Trident. It's got a Jetson Nano in it, correct? And 2 Raspberry Pis. Yeah. And that's kind of the primary infrastructure that we're going to be building the Minecraft server on, correct?
Yeah, so let me see if I can
here's actually, Randall posted a nice post with the Jetson with the Trident in it.
Oh, he already posted.
Well, this one.
Oh yeah, it's. I guess we did post it, so I guess I don't have to post it again.
I'll download that one. We can put it on the screen.
I'm like struggling to like get this to work. Anyways, I digress. But yeah, in the Facebook group. Oh, you can put that.
There's another one somewhere too.
You can put that straight on the screen.
Yeah, I can put that on the screen. You keep talking about it. Tell us about it.
Well, maybe I'll try to. I was trying to paste the picture of it. I'm so confused with Facebook. So, anyways, I'll just let Laura put up a picture of it.
Working on it.
And I'll get back to talking about.
Yeah, get back to talking about it.
But yeah, in terms of like cloud assets, like what's the most scalable cloud asset? Something that's code that can be packaged and delivered. So like tools like Terraform are great for building cloud assets and structuring them and packaging them. I think I can put it behind. And then like containerization's convenient. You don't even need to containerize things with Terraform, because Terraform you can package configurations for bare metal and say like all of those systems in that image that's behind my head, all of them can be terraformed, and that's not that's infrastructure as code, but it's not containers. So infrastructure as code doesn't necessarily mean containerization, but really, like building infrastructure as code is a powerful thing, because you can automate the construction and deployment of tons of physical devices anywhere, like over a network. And then because of edge computing, so we talked a little bit about edge computing in the past, but like it's worth Googling, what's edge computing, and you could look up like the Cloud Native Foundation or Cloud Native Computing Foundation.
Yeah, we talked about it also in our last video, or our last Fridays on the Edge video a bit too.
Yeah.
But yeah, as far as the Trident too, that's.
Randall, I think that's my problem too. I tried to put pictures in the chat too, and maybe it's not designed to let you put pictures in the in the stream chat.
Picture.
It's so confusing. It's all good.
Yeah, it's just we'll let you comment with.
This way everyone gets to see it, because once we put this video up on like.
It's beautiful.
YouTube.
There it is.
And stuff.
This is the Trident.
The YouTubes. Yeah, the Trident and the AGX sitting side by side. Those are the two first things that we're setting up. And those are what are being configured right now. And I set up a nice little SDK server. So I have officially become an NVIDIA developer, by the way, because it was required of me to get access to those repositories. So, anyways, we are now NVIDIA developers, apparently. Official, or at least I am. So if anyone else wants to become an official NVIDIA developer, it's free to create an account, and then you get access to specialized repositories and open source community access. And so that means that you can become an open source contributor, like we are now. So that's one of the things we're doing now. Is we contribute a lot of open source at this point. So now we're going to be contributing to this too. Oh, I think Randall just.
He's dropping all kinds of good stuff in the chat there, so.
Yeah, you can learn this stuff.
Learn more.
Straight from NVIDIA. Edge. What is Edge? What can you do with it? Can you make things with it? You can.
You can.
But yeah, so the Nano, you can use that cool little deployment software that lets you just like image them remotely from all over the places. Mm-hmm. It's good. It's convenient. It's amazing. Anyways, this is our lives. So that I guess that's what's going on today. So what we'll probably start doing is looking at growing the group finally. So we haven't really marketed in a long time, because we got to the point where we've just been very busy and developing, and it's. Right now, I feel like the organic growth is perfect, because we can keep up with the amount of people who've been coming in just like organically. Anything more than that's just like a lot. And so we definitely have not been focused on growth right now. This is very much so like a development time for us. Just kind of like making sure things are polished, making sure things are shiny, and working well, and getting our services, unlocked. So. But we are going to start growing the Facebook group soon here, probably in the next 3 weeks. We're even upgrading our housing space and storage capacity so that we can better host cloud for everyone. So for those who are going to be using our resources, learning on them, working with us, joining the dojo or any of these things, or petting the dog because he's very soft and he has the softest ears and he's a good dog and he wants all the pets.
Sorry to distract you terribly.
He's the most distracting.
What were we talking about before I guess this up?
That we're gonna start promoting the
working hard. Oh yeah, we're gonna be bringing in
start
more
promoting the group.
Traffic.
Yeah, so we're gonna actually start promoting and start letting folks know that we're doing these. I made a few shout outs about this, but usually like if we want attention, maybe one thing I'll do, you know what? Maybe one thing we'll do for fun with the Facebook group is kind of talk about like how do you grow a Facebook group and stuff like that, and like how do you get attention to it, or more importantly, how do you get the right people? You give them Dogecoin. No,
we can't afford that.
Give them Dogecoin.
Dogecoin. It's blowing up.
They want $5 million in Dogecoin. And if we do that, then we'll get all the followers.
We should make some Kleekai coin.
Yeah, we want to try to get like the right people in here, so we'll start promoting the groups again and getting all of our channels like growing again. Dojo's open to apply to right now again. It was closed for a while for applications, but we are bringing in applicants, so I need to start saying that because we finally I don't even know how many people know that we've opened up applications because I don't talk about it. But yeah, now that we are getting to the point where things are looking good and looking solid, well built up, and it's nice. We're gonna start getting things growing. As you can see, this group is even pretty new, and it just started growing too. So, new things.
Yeah, it's all good. It's all happening. It's all happening at a reasonable tempo. So we're happy.
Yeah. So thanks for watching. Does anyone if anyone has any last questions, feel free to ask. Otherwise, we're gonna go ahead and get ready to start closing out here.
Yes.
But yeah, thanks everyone for joining. Appreciate you all.